Hey guys, today I thought I would do a quick update on my Arsenal Firearms Strike 1 and 9mm. I did a review on this gun over a year ago, and at that point I had shot maybe 500 or 600 rounds through it. I have now crossed the 2,000 round threshold, and I thought that would be a good point to check back in and let you guys know how it's fared, how it's held up over those 2,000 rounds, and just sort of what my final verdict on the gun is. And I'll tell you right now that my overall opinion of the Strike 1 is, it's alright. It has not really convinced me. I haven't fallen in love with it yet, and there are a few reasons for that. One, if you've seen my review video, which I'll link below, I had some reliability issues with the gun off the bat, particularly with Winchester White Box. It would just not feed anything consistently, getting random jams all the time with that stuff. I stopped using that ammo, but even still I have reliability problems with the gun. And I've shot Federal, Russian stuff, some Brown Bear, tool ammo, different brands, some Freedom Munitions reloads, and all of them just randomly have issues, and it's sporadic. You can't predict when it's going to happen, what the issue is going to be. Sometimes it's a failure to extract, sometimes it's light primer strikes, sometimes it's failures to feed, and it doesn't happen all the time. It's probably once out of every 50 or 60 rounds or so, and this is just a range gun for me. It's not life or death, home defense or anything like that, so it's not the end of the world, but it's still kind of annoying, especially when all of my other polymer handguns are 100% and I never have any problems with them. It does start to stick out when you're shooting this, and all of a sudden you got to clear a stovepipe, or you pull the trigger and nothing happens, the gun doesn't go off, and you have to rack the slide again since it's a striker fired gun. Just kind of gets old after a while, especially over 2,000 rounds. Now I've heard that the newer updated models have a stronger firing pin spring, which might fix some of the issues, especially with light primer strikes. I imagine that would resolve some of that. But the other stuff, I'm not sure what's causing it. Maybe my gun is just a lemon and these are isolated incidents. I don't really know, but that's the experience that I'm having with it. The other main takeaway that I've had from this gun over 2,000 rounds is that I still haven't warmed up to the trigger. And this is something that I harp on a lot in my initial review video. I just really can't get into this trigger. And I'll admit right now that I'm not generally a fan of striker-fired triggers. I generally prefer hammer-fired actions. I just think the triggers are better. But I do admit that there are some good striker triggers out there. We've gotten used to the VP9, PPQ, P320. The Walther P99AS was doing really good striker stuff back in the 90s. And this trigger is just not up to current standards in my opinion. It's mushy. See all that take up? And it just feels like you're pressing on a sponge rather than a trigger. I don't like it at all. And I thought maybe after a couple thousand rounds I would actually, just get used to it basically, but it still just stands out to me because I'm shooting better guns next to it, and then I go pick this thing up and it's just like mush, 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 mush. Now, I am a trigger snob, and maybe you don't really care as much about that sort of thing, which is fine. I'm just saying that in my opinion, this trigger is a detriment to the gun as far as shooting experience goes. The other main touted feature of this is the low bore axis, which doesn't make a huge difference in my opinion. No, I think that if you have good grip technique and you hike up real nice and high on pretty much any gun, you can manage recoil and muzzle flip pretty well, to the point that this really doesn't do a whole lot. Even in their promotional videos, they're comparing it to a Glock, I think, and the recoil that they show in super slow-mo is barely better than what's happening with the Glock. So the difference is minimal at best, and especially because when I got this thing, I was expecting something really revolutionary, like the Rhino, for example. This is one where the very first round you shoot out of it, you're like, whoa, that's different. That is unique, because the barrel is at the bottom. It's really driving it straight into your hand. It just feels really, really different. This feels like most other polymer handguns, honestly. You still have the reciprocating mass of the slide. It still does recoil. It is maybe a little bit flatter shooting than most, but it's not a huge deal. It's not mind-blowing. And, you could also go out and get a Steyr, an M9. This is a 357 SIG. I'll do a review on this. Great gun, by the way. But it also has a really low bore axis, really nice grip angle, looks cool, shoots great, and the trigger is much better. It's just way more crisp. The trigger is much more enjoyable to shoot. This is also half the price. So, if you compare these two, which one wins? My opinion, something like this. So those things combined, the trigger and the reliability, they just don't really add up to make this a compelling package for me. This is a gun where really, like the night before, I'm not just really excited about taking the Strike 1 out and putting a couple hundred rounds through it. It's just sort of, it is what it is. It's just another polymer striker-fired gun for me. Nothing real exciting. Don't really ever look forward to it. If you're looking for something unique and you don't mind the price, you could do worse for sure. I'm not saying it's a bad gun, and even though I'm harping on the trigger, I do shoot it well. It is very accurate. It has a nice long sight radius, which is good. And overall, it does shoot pretty decently, but it's not that fun, and it's not that unique, and it just really doesn't bring a whole lot to the table, in my opinion, to make it worthy over most other polymer guns out there, unless you're looking for something unique and different and just something that's kind of cool and out of the ordinary. then yeah, you could do worse. Like I said, you know, I would probably give this gun a B overall. Not the worst thing I've ever shot by far, but there are so many other guns out there that I just enjoy shooting more. And this is really at the bottom of the pile when it comes to, you know, thinking of what I'm going to take to the range that day. I did give it a fair shake, I think. I put 2,000 rounds through it, but, you know, after this experiment, it's probably not really going to be one that I shoot a whole lot, just because it's not super fun for me, and I shoot other guns as well or better and enjoy it more. So now, like I've mentioned, they may have fixed some of these things, particularly with the reliability. There's also a new speed version out that has better sights for competition. I believe the trigger may be improved on that one too. A little bit lighter, which I don't really care about, but you know, maybe that gun does perform a little bit better and is more enjoyable to shoot. There's also a carbine kit for this, believe it or not, which if you've seen the movie Spectre, the new James Bond movie, that makes a featured appearance towards the beginning. Kind of unusual. I'm not really sure who's going to buy that, but it's just something that's out there. Kind of cool. It's expensive too. It's about $2,100, but you know, so there are accessories out there. There is stuff you can do with this gun, and maybe mine is just not the best example, but overall, decent gun, but nothing to really write home about and get too excited about, I think. So it's the Arsenal Firearms Strike 1 2,000 round update, and I do have a lot more review videos coming. I know I've been slacking, so stay tuned and subscribe for that if you want. Cool stuff coming down the road, and yeah, thanks for watching.